What's up, This is John with Flo Motorsports, and today we are going to install an oversized rotor kit, both the bracket itself and the rotor. This is a 280mm kit, so let's get into it.
Okay, the job's pretty simple. You don't need a ton of tools. In the kit, you're obviously gonna get your 280mm rotor here. You can choose your colorway. We have orange here. You can have other colors as well. Your front axle wrench or a socket for that size. These are your instructions from Flo. This is all you need. We'll go over this in detail. All this is telling you is what to do with this 2mm washer. Stay tuned for that. You're gonna need a 10mm for both your fork bolts and a bolt on your bracket, your caliper I mean, and then your 8mm here for the same thing, and your rotor bolts, and then the bracket itself from Flo that will give you a little bit more clearance for the rotor. So let's put it on. All right, so we're gonna pull the wheel first. We'll loosen our axle nut. Once we get that loose, we'll loosen up our 10mm pinch bolts. Pull your axle, pull the wheel. So I'm just gonna do the bracket first. You could always do the sprocket first if you want to, but I'm just gonna pull this off with a 10mm, 2 bolts. All right, once you get your caliper off, you wanna disassemble it. So there's gonna be some cotter pins. Take some needle nose or just pull them out however you want to do it, but there's 2 of them down here in this little post. Don't lose them. Pop the post out. That should allow your brake pads to come out. Okay, once you've got the pads out, you're ready. If your model has an odometer or speedometer, then you're going to need to cut this. I've done it before, so I'm just going to separate these wires, keep these ends in case you want to put this back, but so that's going to free up this, and then basically you're going to take the caliper, right, that's in 2 pieces, and there's 2 oiled posts on here. You're just going to basically take it and push them apart. So when you pull them apart like this, they just keep expanding, and those 2 parts is what you want to get to. Okay, from here we're gonna move the pieces from this OEM wishbone over to the Flo. So we're gonna take an 11mm wrench. We're gonna loosen this post up. We're gonna hold it just like this, move it to the same place on the Flo one. It's threaded. It should be one of the few places that you can put it. Torque it down with some tension. We're gonna pop this metal bracket off that seats our brake pads, and we're going to orient this the same way. Make sure the open part faces the open part. You'll know really quickly if you do this wrong, because the caliper will not fit in there. So just seat that right like that. Then we're going to pull this rubber boot off the OEM. We're going to grab a little bit of grease, add it to this end here, kind of pinch it in half, slip one end in, and then just follow the end all the way around. Push it down on there, nice and tight. Then we're gonna add a little bit more grease onto this post. And one other post, let's go do that now. All right, so this is the other piece that we need to grease. So on our caliper itself, we're gonna grab a little bit and dab it on there. Then we're gonna grab the Flo Motorsports piece that we just moved the pieces over, and we're going to line up the posts. And then just slide them together. Just like that. And from here we'll reassemble our front caliper. So we'll orientate our brake pads in the correct way, slide them up into the channel, then up and back.
Take the second one, make sure both of them are facing to the inside. Once again, this will be hard to do incorrectly just because pieces won't fit. Then we'll grab our post, push down on our brake pads, slide in our post. That'll keep them in place. All right, so with those two halves put together, we are now ready to install it on the bike, but first we'll install our magnet really quick. We can wire that up as soon as we get it on the bike. Then we're gonna take it, we're gonna take one of our 10mm bolts, we're gonna put it in the top. Move it through to the threaded portion here. And then here is where the washer comes into play. So our 2mm washer, we're gonna take it out of the packaging. And this is critical, this is a critical step. And all we're gonna do is put it over the bolt. So then our bolt will be like this, that we put into the bottom bolt here. Give us a little space. So we'll just go ahead and slot that on there. And then we'll torque these down to manufacturer spec. Then once we've done that, we cannot forget our little cotter pins for our brake pad post holder. So we'll slip those back on. Remember, there's two of them, one on the inside and then one on the outside. So just pop those back on. And now, let's move to the front tire. Okay, so now we've got the oversized rotor bracket onto the caliper. We've put our cotter pins in, we've torqued everything down, we've attached our magnet. We're gonna rewire that before we get going. Now, let's head over to the bench and put the actual rotor on the wheel.
Okay, so for the wheel, we're gonna take our 8mm socket, or if you've got an impact, even better, and just take these out. I've already broken these for the sake of the video. And let's speed this up. Then we're gonna take our new 280mm Flo Motorsports custom colorway button, and we're just gonna line that bad boy up onto here. We're gonna take our hardware that we put right here. Tightening these just like any other star pattern like this. You're gonna wanna move across from a bolt even while you're, don't cinch it all the way down yet, or torque it all the way down yet. Just get it close and then move across and keep doing this until you're ready to torque it down. Then once you've got it torqued down, you can actually start putting the proper torque on there. Still in a crisscross star pattern.
So now, let's just put it onto the bike, and from here it's just like any other tire. So set yourself up for success, grab a flathead, stick it in there, spread those calipers apart as far as you can just to make it that much easier. We're gonna grab our wheel, we're gonna feed it in there the correct way. We're gonna orientate our forks, and I look for the caliper first. So I'm gonna look to land in the caliper there. Then I grab my pre-lightly greased axle, fit it in one end, grab one end of the wheel. Make sure you stay in over here. Finish sliding it on through. Once we're in, we're gonna grab our axle nut along with our axle wrench. And we're gonna tighten this up. Okay. We need to make sure the front wheel is straight. We don't know that it is. So before we tighten these 4 pinch bolts, we're gonna pull the bike off the stand, and I'll show you how to make sure it's straight. Take the bike off the stand where you've got it, you still haven't tightened those 4 pinch bolts. Try not to move it too much. You're gonna hold your front brake once you've got the tension back. Hold it still, and then just push down on the bike. Just in place, just like that. Don't need to kill it, don't need to do it a million times, just do it a couple times. That makes sure it's nice and lined up. And now we can tighten those 4 pinch bolts. All right, so theoretically our front tire is straight now. We're gonna grab our 10mm socket and we're just gonna tighten these pinch bolts equally. So tighten one side, then the other. Lightly, not all the way down, then move to the other side. Lightly seat. Then move this other one, lightly seat it, and slowly add more and more torque until you're to spec.
All right, so that about does it. It's a pretty straightforward process. Get the OS rotor kit from Flo Motorsports. It's the rotor itself, then the OS bracket that you put on your existing caliper. Everything bolts up nice and easy. Get it for your model year. It's available now. So with that, I want to say thank you for checking out the video, checking out the products. Just to recap, we went over the 280mm front rotor. This is a KTM 300, but we've got them available for 4-stroke, 2-stroke, modern, and some older ones as well. So take a look at the website, flomotorsports.com, and we'll check in the next video. Appreciate it, guys.